Today we welcome Kenneth Tebo of Motorik FC Alexandria to the non-league radio show. Hello, Kenny.
Hey, great to be here. Nice talking to you.
Yes, before we get on to the team, I want to find out a little bit about yourself, your past and how you got involved with the club.
Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, I founded the club back in 2017. I'm a native-born Washingtonian, and I started playing youth soccer around 6 years old. Where I grew up, it's a suburb northwest of DC called Potomac. There's a lot of families there from the embassies and the World Bank and stuff like that. So soccer is very prominent. It's a big part of the culture, and it's basically been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Good stuff. And then how does the process work in setting up your own club? I'm interested to know how that begins and how you put that together.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just something that I dove into head first. I didn't really have any experience, so I had to learn a lot of it as I went along. Basically, I just started out building, creating the logo, building the brand, the aesthetic, kind of spreading news and raising awareness of the club on social media. Then it was just a process of assembling a squad, finding players. Basically you find a handful of guys, and then word spreads to their friends, and before you know it, you have a team. And then hiring coach, learning to deal with the county in terms of securing facilities and such. And then, for me, I had basically promoted the club a lot before I started getting into searching for leagues and things like that. So a lot of the leagues were already kind of aware of us, and due to the hype that I created around the club, we got invited to a lot of competitive platforms.
Good stuff. What's your locations and facilities like? Where do you play your home games at?
Well, we're Alexandria. It's based in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. We're essentially a Washington, D.C. based club because we're right across the Potomac River from D.C. Fortunately for us, Fairfax County is like a very prosperous area. So there's a lot of really quality facilities, and the county can provide it to organizations like us for very cheap. So we generally play in local high school stadiums that I'd say hold around maybe like 3,000 or so. It's always like quality turf pitches. I know a lot of people, they prefer grass, but in this area, the grass fields just really aren't maintained that well. I mean, I remember once we rented one grass pitch for a friendly, and there was such an incline on the pitch that you couldn't see the corner flag from the goal. So we generally, our facilities are pretty high quality high school turf stadiums.
I'm looking at some of the information you've sent in an email to us. This year you've had 3 coaches, or you've had to fire 3 coaches. How does that process work? I find it hard to, like, especially people you probably know, to have to say to them, sorry, you're gone type of thing. Someone else is coming in. I don't know if you could talk us through the process of what that is like to have to fire coaches and get new ones in. Yeah.
I mean, I like to give opportunities to guys who might not have that much experience with coaching, maybe don't have, high level licenses for coaching, and just see how they can mentor our guys and such. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out. And me personally, I always get along really well with the coaches. We always have a good rapport. But unfortunately, with some coaches, their approach just doesn't fly well with the players. Usually when I make the decisions to fire a coach, it's down to how they can interact with the players and how they can engage the players, and basically their ability to attract and retain talent. And, we had some coaches who had some difficulties in those areas. And, when you're seeing an exodus of a lot of your top talent because they basically just have irreconcilable differences with your coach, inevitably you have to make that move. I mean, I never enjoy doing it because, you also become acquainted with these people on a personal level, on an individual level, and they're all good people. But when it doesn't work out, you just have to make that move. And it was very fortuitous for me because it basically cleared a path for us to hire our current coach, Coach Ayan Basu, who has basically transformed this club, changed the culture, brought a very professional approach. I'd say, and it was also due to our kind of losing ways that we experienced last year, but there wasn't really the right morale. There was a lot of discord and such. But since he's been here, I've just been very inspired by the camaraderie I see amongst our guys, which is even more special because, a lot of local amateur clubs, they'll kind of spring out of a community, especially because here in DC, it's a very culturally diverse community. So you'll have like a club from the Salvadorian community, or, there's another club from the Sierra Leone immigrant community. But generally with Motorik, we kind of assemble men from, different backgrounds and different areas. So it's great to see that we have this diversity, but everybody kind of unites in their purpose and they get along really well. And we don't have cliques or anything like that. That kind of helps lead to success when you can have that kind of chemistry. And we also have like a very high level of morale. So it's a really great time to be at the club right now.
Good stuff. And is all the players part-time working and playing?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them, they're just working class guys. We have a relatively young roster, so we also have a lot of guys who are still in school. And we generally train 2 nights a week, and then we have our matches on Sunday.
Good stuff. And if you tell us a little bit about the league you're playing, is it the UPSL Premier Division?
South? Yeah, we just joined the UPSL DMV South. This will be our first stab at a national league, which is pretty exciting, to not only be associated with clubs in our region, but also be affiliated with clubs from the Midwest, the West Coast, down south. It's really cool. And yeah, it's basically, I'd say elite amateur. People have thrown out around the word semi-pro, but I have no clue what that really means. Either you're getting paid or you're not.
I think in England, semi-professional in England, in our non-leagues, like people will work and they'll get paid for playing football on a weekend.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a cool league because there's a number of MLS, a Major League Soccer. That's our first division here in the United States. They field a lot of reserve squads in the league. So, there's like quality competition, even some foreign clubs. I know Paris Saint-Germain, they have a club in the league. In our conference, we have Olympiacos has representation, and the Italian club Cessna has a team, and I think Villarreal as well.
So are they like feeder teams or to try and pick up talent from the States? I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think on the one hand, it's kind of like they're just selling their brand to these clubs, but I would imagine there's more substance to the affiliation as well. So, I mean, we don't have an affiliation, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I'd imagine there's some perk where maybe their players get scouted or they can get sent overseas for some tryouts and such.
Good stuff. And one of the contentious issues that I speak a lot with American clubs is promotion and relegation, and pyramid systems. Can you progress from this league you're in now to the top, or is it like that league you're in and you can't move on?
Yeah, it's pretty much a Sisyphean endeavor where you win your title, and then you just start all over again in the same league the next year. There isn't any advancement from our league, but also, I mean, for an ambitious club like us, the UPSL is an ideal platform if you're looking to use that as a launching pad for growth. I know a lot of clubs that have used the UPSL as kind of their vehicle to go from amateur to pro. So there's that benefit to the league. But I mean, for me, the main impetus for us joining this league was just the talent that we've accumulated at the club. We right now we play in a local league, the American Premier League, which is very high quality, but we were in the second division, and we unfortunately didn't. We went to the final of the promotion playoffs, but we didn't win. So we'd be playing in that league again, and I feel like to retain our top talent, we kind of needed to give them a higher, more recognizable platform to compete in. So that's why we joined the UPSL. And it's actually really cool because we've kind of played at this level before, but the impetus for me joining the leagues in the past has been in the hopes of attracting talent, satisfactory talent for that level. This time around, it's better because now it's a matter of us having the talent that kind of is the impetus for joining a higher league.
I mean, I look a lot at the pyramid we have here in England, and obviously thinking about it in the States, I just think the travel alone would be a massive issue for some clubs to have to travel some of the distances. Obviously in England, it's, you can get from top to bottom in 5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, happily they divide it into regions, so travel doesn't really become a concern until you start to reach the national playoff stage. Just in our conference, they've split it between DMV North and DMV South. So most of the clubs will be playing are basically along the Beltway, not too far from us.
And some of the other news I've noticed, you're going to try and assemble a women's team.
Yeah, I mean, we floated the idea. At the end of the day, any of our objectives are based on, community interest and community involvement. So I can't really speak concretely on the matter until we start finding the right people to get involved with that. But yeah, for me personally, I feel like we can't be a complete club unless we're serving the entire community and giving all players in the community an opportunity to play at our club. So for me, it's imperative to set up a women's team, but you have to find the players and everything. I approached our league and asked if they intended to launch a women's division that we could field a squad in, but according to them, it's just difficult to find clubs.
Yeah, it's obviously, like you say, play a lot of matches or create enough teams to have a league.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why that would be the case, because I know there are a lot of talented players in the region, and I got to imagine that they're looking for an opportunity. So I'm hopeful.
What sort of fan base do you have for the club?
Well, I mean, our virtual fan base, I'd say, is a lot larger than our match day fan base. But I mean, to be quite honest, we had such a crap year last year. I wasn't really wanting people to come to the stadium and see the product that we were fielding every Sunday. But yeah, this year we've been a lot more aggressive in letting people know about our games and trying to entice people to come out. And over the course of the season, as we were having better and better results, it was good to see that actually more and more people were coming out to the stands and supporting the club. I mean, it's a very exciting experience. If you're not checking out your local club, you're missing out on something special.
Definitely. I mean, I think we're a bit different over here. The culture is people will go every week, whether you're getting beat 5 or 6, 7-0. It's built in, and that's their team, and they will go whatever's thrown.
Yeah. I mean, it's incumbent on me to provide folks with a special experience and a sense of community. So that's definitely something we'll be focusing on, especially since we're playing on a more prominent platform now. Like a lot more people know about the UPSL, so that in itself might make more people curious to come out and see us.
You talked about, or you mentioned in emails about connections with English and Scottish, with the English and Scottish non-league community. If you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, actually, through social media, we've gotten to know a lot of clubs. I've gotten to admire some clubs. It's always good, since you guys have a longer tradition and experience in building communities and building clubs. It's always good to learn from the clubs overseas. So I always just like to follow and see what they're doing and how they're engaging with their communities and such. And then also, I mean, there was a club, Farnham Royal Mavericks, that we were actually supposed to host here in Alexandria for our first international friendly. But unfortunately, that was when COVID came on the scene. So we had to cancel that due to travel restrictions. But that would have been a very exciting experience. I mean, at some point, I want to kind of build partnerships with clubs overseas so that we can maybe have like player exchanges. I know a lot of our guys would love to get a foothold over there. That's always the big dream for American players. So,
no, good stuff. One of the other things, what I want to touch on is some of your plans for the future.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's hard. This is our off season, so a lot of my work now is to raise funds. It's hard to really focus too far in the future because right now I got to hustle, raise funds for the club so that we can afford all the nice things for this spring. I've been aggressively trying to recruit guys. We have 2 really big tryouts coming in January, so I want to have some big turnouts so we have as sizable a pool to select from, because I'm hoping that we can hit the ground being very competitive in this new league. So, future plans are difficult, but it's just always trying to grow the club, trying to take on more sponsors. This season we've actually been very successful generating sponsors. We just made an agreement with Olive and York, who is an up-and-coming kit supplier. They've kind of become co-owners of our club. They've invested some finances that have been really helpful for us. So yeah, I mean, I generally, I don't think too far. I see how things are in the present, and if it facilitates a move upward and onward, then I'll take it. But right now, I just want us to have as much success as possible in the UPSL this spring.
So I just want to touch on your tryouts. Does that get advertised or like locally? So I'm not sure what numbers you would get coming to a tryout. I'm guessing, is it in the hundreds or is it, up to 100 people coming forward for try and get selected for the team?
Yeah, I mean, from the response we've gotten thus far, I mean, I think we only really announced it last week, and right now we have about 65 registrants. So I'm assuming by the time January rolls around, we should have around 100 guys. But yeah, a lot of the recruitment is just advertising on social media. There's a platform app that we're on called Bella, where a lot of players have accounts, and I'll reach out to them individually. I try not to really poach players directly from other clubs, but I do my best to find whoever's available out there.
That's good. That's good. Do you have, obviously, if you get a lot of players, I don't know how many you can have in your squad. But do you have a second team or like a reserve squad in a league, or is it just the first team and then a pool of players to pull from?
Yeah, it's definitely our intention because we do anticipate that we're going to have a very large pool. So we're going to try to for the first 5 years, we've basically just had one senior squad, and that's been our primary focus. But yeah, I think this spring we're going to have a reserve U23 squad, and then we're going to have our senior squad in the UPSL. I'm hoping that we can return to the league we've been playing in for our U23 team, but there seems to be some complications where maybe they don't like their clubs to be members of other leagues. I don't know. I got to work it out, but yeah, we definitely plan to have a U23 team. I think it's good for the reserves to be U23 because, if you have like an older player who isn't able to crack our top squad, you have to assume they've kind of reached their ceiling. So we'd rather focus on development of players who could develop and make our top starting squad.
Just a couple of things from your website. You've got some good merch on there. I'm liking the home strip, by the way. That's a good home strip.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And you've got these membership programs for the beloved rabble. I'm guessing this is like fans and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically I'm trying to create sort of a 51-49 ownership setup with the community. So that's one of the ways you can get into the ownership setup of Motorik is through our membership program. And yeah, I've always focused and given a lot of effort to our merchandise because a lot of our finances come from people supporting us through buying our jerseys or our scarves or what have you. So, and it's always important for me to give something of quality to our supporters. So we definitely focus a lot on having like quality designs for our kits and things like that.
And is there anything I haven't touched on that you want to talk about? Anything that's happened like before the last email we've had that you may want to bring up?
No, it's been a pretty thorough rundown of everything going on. I'm just very excited about our prospects moving forward. We were definitely at a very low point over the summer. I mean, we basically, for our 2021-2022 campaign, we picked up maybe 6 points the entire year. So things were looking very bleak, and it's amazing to have our new head coach turn things around so dramatically, competing for our first ever trophy. And we're just building on that foundation, and hopefully there will be even more glorious days ahead.
Well, that's great. It's been excellent talking to you, Kenny, and I would love to wish you all the best for the future, and I'll keep my eye open, and I'm sure you'll definitely get more than 6 points.
I think those days are definitely in the rearview mirror, so I'm very optimistic moving forward. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me teach people about our club and what we're all about. And check us out on social media, and you can see more of what's going on.
Great stuff. And I'll quickly give out the Twitter. It's at Motorik FC on Twitter if you want to go and have a look at the guys and what's going on. There's a website as well which I will share with you, Motorik-FC-Alexandria.square.site, and I'll share all those when I post the video. Well, thanks again, Kenny, for coming on the show.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and we're on Instagram as well. You can check us out there.
Yes, and I will share everything for the listeners. It's not a problem.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Kenny.
Have a great day, and I'm so sorry about yesterday.
No problem. Thanks for bringing that up. Cheers.